I decided that I missed the 60s. I was born in 1963, and I grew up in New York City on Central Park West, and my playground was essentially the staging ground for the anti-war movement. And I knew a lot was going on as a young child, but I wasn't completely aware of the significance of it. My early hometown heroes were Bella Abzug and Shirley Chisholm, and I had photos of them on my wall, and I was a young feminist at age 7. But all of this really was theater to me. And when I graduated from college in 1985, it was exactly 15 years after the largest student strike in America, which you just saw the statistics about. There were 700 colleges closed down, 2.5 million students went on strike after Kent State and the invasion of Cambodia in 1970. No one took no one took finals, and yet I graduated just 15 years later to the middle of the Reagan administration. A few of us went to battle on the streets against apartheid and trying to get Harvard to divest. But otherwise, it was very quiet. All of my friends went off to work at Wall Street. And I just knew that my life was different because of what had happened in the 60s. I was free to choose any career I wanted and live any sort of life I wanted to lead. But I really wanted to know what it was about this revolution in the late 60s that I had missed, and how that activism, that awakened generation, had changed my generation and all the generations to follow. I also thought it was a good time to go back. And with history, I think you're allowed to go back every decade or so and revisit what had occurred, even if the 60s has been written about enormously. I mean, the library that I just collected in my research was vast. And so I did feel like it was a little cheeky of me to decide that I could take on this decade as a kid who wasn't even there. But it seemed like the right time to revisit the decade and talk to people who were activists, because many of them were in their late 60s and 70s and were ready to reflect. And so much had gone on in the last 45 years that there was a lot to talk about. And I wanted to catch them at a time when they still remembered what they had done and wanted to reflect.